Good church design doesn't happen by accident. It's a skill that you can keep getting better at if you work at it, which means that anyone can learn to make designs that are consistently effective and which really resonate with people. So how can you do that? The simple answer is practice. Cal Newport puts it like this: it's a lifetime accumulation of deliberate practice that again and again ends up explaining excellence. In other words, you get good at what you do by practicing it in an intentional way, which means that we can level up our graphic design skills faster if we practice strategically. So we're going to do that together. I'm going to give you 6 creative exercises that you can start today that will enhance your skills and equip you to serve your church with graphic design. So the first exercise we're going to take a look at is called Same Design, Different Result. And this involves creating a few simple design elements such as a title, a subtitle, maybe some body text and an image. Or you could be a bit more creative and add a few more elements or add some illustrations, whatever you like. And then you're going to choose one graphic design concept to focus on. So this might be something that you know that you struggle with and you really want to improve. For example, you could focus on grids or scale or typography. So once you've got your design elements and you've chosen a concept to focus on, you're going to make 3 designs that are all different from each other. The only thing you're allowed to change is that particular concept. So for example, if you're focusing on scale, you're going to create 3 different designs, and the only thing that changes across all of them is the scale of the elements. Or if you're focusing on grids, you're just going to change which grids you're using, and so how the different elements are aligned on the page. Or maybe you'll choose typography or the colors, for example. And it doesn't really matter if your final designs aren't that good. And the same applies for the rest of these exercises. It's not about creating the most perfect design. These exercises are all about the process. What this particular exercise does is it enables you to focus on one specific concept or tool. When we're designing, we're thinking about so many different things. We've got so much going on in our brains. This exercise helps you forget about all of that and focus on one specific skill. And that's so much less overwhelming for your brain than trying to improve everything at once. And if you're interested in spending a little bit more time diving into graphic design principles, like how to use space or contrast or structure, I think you'd find my training course really helpful. It's designed for churches and it includes everything that you need to know about graphic design, and I show you how to apply it all to a church context. It's completely accessible for beginners, even if you have no design experience, and I've put the link in the description below. The next exercise is to recreate excellent design. Find a design that you love, something that you see and you think, oh, I wish I could make that. And then you're going to try and recreate it as closely as you possibly can. So perhaps I really love this Christmas flyer, for example. I'm then going to try and replicate everything that the designer has done. And so that's one of the best ways to learn how to make designs that you really love. And as you try and recreate them, you're inevitably going to get stuck sometimes, because that shows you the gaps in your skill set. So you can go away and figure out how to achieve that effect or use that particular skill. The next exercise is to study composition. For this activity, you're going to choose a format. So for this example, I'm going to choose websites. And then you need to collect examples of good design in that format. So I've picked a few examples here of church websites. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to recreate these using simple, basic black and white shapes. And so I've created almost a silhouette of these designs. And that means I'm really able to focus on the things that are really hard to see usually. I'm not distracted by any images or videos or anything like that. I'm really focusing on the overall composition. It helps me immediately pick out things like repeated shapes across different designs, or it shows me roughly how much text that each of these designs are using. And what this exercise does is it really helps you focus on the overall composition. It helps you think about things like spacing and layout, which are often quite hard to focus on when you've got other distracting elements going on. And it gives you inspiration for your own designs. The next exercise is to design with limitations. So this involves giving yourself a limitation. So for example, that could be that you can't use your computer, or you can only use black and white, so you're not allowed to use any other colors in your design, or you can't use your usual software, or you can only use your least favorite font, or maybe you can't use any images. And I find that limitations can often help unlock your creativity because they force you to solve problems in a slightly different way. The next exercise helps you improve your creative direction skills. So what you're going to do is choose an adjective or a feeling. And for this example, I'll choose the adjective peaceful. And then you need to create a mood board based on that word. So a mood board is just a collection of different images and typography and colors that inspire you for a particular design, and they show you what visual direction your design is going to go in. So for example, here I've brought together various images and videos and colors and typography that I think evokes the sense of peacefulness. And you can see straight away that I've been drawn to these images that have these kind of natural gradients in the sunset and in the sea. And that's something that I can definitely use in my own designs. If I want to create a design that gives a sense of peacefulness, then perhaps one of these kinds of gradients will be a really useful way of doing that. You can also see that I've been drawn to a lot of similar colours throughout these images, and that I've used a lot of images of the sea as well. So all of these things are really helpful for me if I'm going to try and create a design that gives a sense of peacefulness. And this is a really helpful activity to do in itself, but if you wanted to take it further, you could then create a design based off your mood board. And what this exercise is doing is it's helping you learn to communicate visually. You're thinking about what kind of emotions and feelings are created because of certain imagery or colours or typography. It also helps you with brainstorming your own projects, and you might find that once you start practicing this, you then want to include mood boarding as part of your creative process for your other designs. And then the final exercise is to improve bad designs. So find a design that you think requires improvement. It might be something that you've walked past or you've seen on the internet or whatever. Screenshot it, take a picture of it, and then try and recreate it as closely as possible. And don't worry if it's not perfect. If you don't know what font they've used or you can't find the image that they've used, just recreate it as closely as you can and change those things if you need to. And then what you're going to do is just try and make it better. And what this does is it helps you learn how to improve your own designs, because you're practicing looking at a design that needs improvement and figuring out what you can do to make it better. And sometimes it can be easier to spot mistakes in other people's work rather than your own. So getting used to spotting things that aren't quite right in other people's design can also help you then spot mistakes in your own work so you can fix them. And if you'd like to see my process in improving some designs, I've made a video where I try and improve church designs, and I show you step by step what I was thinking as I was trying to improve them. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.